Top Med Talk.
Hello and welcome to Top Med Talk, a free global perioperative medicine podcast. We bring you fantastic conversations wherever you are and whenever you like. Now, I'm Desiree Chappell, your host. And as we round out this crazy year of 2020, we thought it would be really good to have a conversation for all of our listeners about stress, burnout, and dealing with all of those feelings. So the two guests that we have today, both are part of the AANA, or the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists. We have Jessica Switzman. She's a CRNA at Johns Hopkins. She's been practicing for about 25 years, and I've heard just received a promotion as adjunct faculty at Johns Hopkins School of Nursing. Jessica, it's so wonderful to have you on the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Desiree. Yes.
One more point. So you've been teaching you're a yoga instructor as well?
Yes. So I started out teaching yoga to preschoolers, actually, when my kids were little, and we had a volunteer. So I went in and I started doing poses, and it was fun, and it brought around laughter, and it helped everybody feel good. So then I got more interested. I became certified, and then I became certified again. And it's one of the ways that I find resilience myself, and just not only the moves, but the breathing and learning all about yoga and the different philosophy of yoga. And I really brought it into my life, and it's made a big, huge difference. And I love sharing that to help people become better themselves.
I want to introduce our next guest, Bridget Petrillo, who is also a CRNA, and she's been practicing for over 25 years, and she's at the Mayo Clinic now in Phoenix, Arizona. She's also served on the different committees. Bridget, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Desiree, for all the hard work that you do. You are quite a busy woman.
Well, tell us a little bit more about you and your involvement in the different committees in practice.
So I am a member of the Peer Assistance Advisories Committee for the AANA, like you said. That's how I know Jessica. And I feel like we stole her from the Wellness Committee. She was the liaison, and we said, no, we want her. So that's been a real great thing. And there's 7 people on the committee, all various backgrounds and practices and experience with wellness and peer assistance. I got involved in peer assistance. I was about 10 years sober from a fentanyl addiction, and I met some people on the committee and was also very passionate about carrying the message and keeping people well and being able to help people with substance use disorder as CRNAs, SRNAs, but all people, because recovery is a big part of my life. And because of that, at the time I lived in California, I became the state peer advisor in California. And now I live in Arizona, and I'm the state peer advisor in Arizona. But also I am blessed to have a lot of state support for wellness. And I'm part of the wellness committee here in Arizona.
Now, one of the things that I learned about you is that you're really interested in leading guided meditations for CRNAs and SRNAs. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I, like Jess has a passion for breathing and yoga, and I also am a yoga practitioner. However, especially with COVID, my yoga studio was closed or had limited classes or had outdoor classes or whatever, and I didn't feel quite comfortable. So I really focused more on the meditation piece. And right before COVID, there was a slot at the Arizona Association of Nurse Anesthetists that was open, and it was the last day of the conference in March, and it was around COVID, and they had this extra slot. So they came to me and said, hey, can you talk about something? And I said, well, I'm going to talk about meditation. So I did that. And then last week I ran a Zoom guided meditation. It was very easy to put together. I volunteer thinking, everybody's like, oh, that's great. You help other people. But, I really help myself because well, we know we're nurses. We people understand that, right?
Yeah.
And so the other thing that comes to mind when I think about meditation, I'd like to remind our listeners, there's all this talk in the media about, the frontline workers are superheroes. Well, I didn't feel like a superhero. No. I got furloughed. I felt guilty because I wasn't volunteering in New York where they had, the surge back then. And so I didn't feel like a superhero, but, meditation is my superpower. And I've been saying that for years. And so my message that I'd like to let people know is this is your superpower. I could talk for hours and hours about the benefits of meditation. So
kind of want to dive into this conversation now about the stressors of the lives of our fellow colleagues. Walk us through, what does this time of year look like for the average healthcare provider?
Historically, anytime I've worked in a variety of settings, but it seems like December, the OR cases go skyrocket. All the patients want to meet their deductible, and the surgeons want to be, consumer friendly, and they want to do that. So I always feel like we have extra cases in December.
Yeah.
For us, especially in Arizona, we get a surge of population. So it's busy at work, right? And then, normally there's holiday parties. This year it's very different. So we have to think outside the box. Some of us have college-age children. They're coming home, so the house is being disrupted. We have demands, our families, our parents. There might be travel involved. Anyway, so as a CRNA, it's you have extra work and all of those things and any other end of the year activities that need to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jessica, what about you at Johns Hopkins? I mean, that's a really well-known facility. Do you guys kind of see the same uptick in numbers?
We're actually still very busy, despite there's a lot of talk about we're trying to decrease elective surgeries, get people out of the hospital. And I wanted to bring up something else besides, so there's a lot of anxiety with COVID, which increased anxiety, getting time off because we're short-staffed. So we can't get time off to be with our families sometimes. So that's very hard for a lot of healthcare professionals right now. And then also that we can't connect with our families right now. So a lot of people are feeling very isolated, even though we're doing a wonderful job, people, connecting with Zoom. Some elderly people, like I have an 85-year-old dad, he doesn't know how to, do Zoom. So he feels, isolated. And people that are working in healthcare with elder family members, they're so busy taking care of their patients, it's hard sometimes for practitioners to take care of their family. And they might also feel isolated. Like I know, especially nurse anesthetists, sometimes we spend very long hours in the operating room. Mm-hmm. So it can be and sometimes it's a dark operating room. In this type of year, during the year, it's also dark. So there's a lot of stress on nurse anesthetists and healthcare professionals at this time. So
yeah. Go to work in the dark and you come home in the dark.
That too. And then you're in a dark operating room. So it's really hard. One thing is so wonderful. We have to, there's so much negative. Thankfully at Hopkins, we have we're connecting here this morning. I connect with my Hopkins family. And it's so nice to be in the OR and feel that support from one another, where it's just anybody that works in the OR, from the technician to the surgeon, we try to connect and work together. And that's a huge way to fight getting burnt out.
Yeah. I feel like this year, for colleagues that I've been talking to, it's just a major, major stress.
People are so fearful of going to work and bringing it home to their families. In the beginning, I had colleagues that they didn't touch their children.
Yes.
They would come in, wash off, go down to the basement. So they were isolating themselves. And then increased fear. I think people are still very, fearful, like the vaccine's here, but am I going to get this? Am I doing everything right? Not good for mental health. So,
no, and it's been, like you said, it's almost like a slow boil. And, for some of us, we've been dealing with it for 11 months. And that's a really long time to deal with these things. And if a person's life was a little bit unmanageable back in January, or you had a lot of things going on, or there were different stressors, and then this hit, it's like, whoa. Like, I am very blessed. My ducks were kind of in a row, but I know people whose ducks were a little bit out of line. And then this hits, and fear is really, I think, where it is. And maybe because we're told we're superheroes that we're afraid to talk about our fears. And what I love about the AANA and the support that they offer is we say to CRNAs, it's okay to talk about your fear and anxiety. It's really, really okay.
Let's walk through a little bit about how the AANA, the resources and some of the things that you guys are doing to help support CRNAs. Jessica, do you want to take that one?
Well, we have wonderful resources. We have something very special called Support the Front. We're a Zoom meeting. We're going to do it twice a month. We're going to have different people talk about stress, resilience, opening up, sharing different resources that are available. And that's one wonderful thing. We also have on our website, we have a whole website at the AANA called COVID-19 and Well-Being. And it talks all about different ways to deal with stress, anxiety, depression, fear, all different sites. Through the AANA, we have this peer assistance. I think you might have talked about that in another Top Med Talk.
Yeah.
And then each state, I'm in Maryland here, so I'm a peer assistant for the state of Maryland. So I do have a phone number out there, and I just to listen to people. And Bridget's for Arizona. So we try to have each state have a person so somebody can talk. So the AANA is doing, we're educating people, and we're educating people on resilience and ways that they can just little things, how people can cope.
It's really amazing. And I will say that AANA is a leader in this, like the Support the Front, in association with Rigo Garcia that you had interviewed back in 2019 in Chicago. He's the CEO of a treatment center for professionals, but he started this, and he's all volunteer. He started this Support the Front very early on. And there's resources in that Support the Front, such as, if you heard of Headspace, you could get a free premium subscription if you're a CRNA to Headspace. And that's up until 2020. So maybe they're going to extend it. But that was just so awesome, because that's a tool that I use frequently to remind me to meditate, like take 8 minutes. So, the AANA they're top notch on saying, we want our CRNAs to be well, because we know that CRNAs who are well practice well. They're just all over it. We got wellness updates via email, just like a check-in. How are you doing? Yeah. We did some Zoom things through the state, and also the AANA took care of their state peer advisors so that the state peer advisors could then take care of their states and gave them ideas, like, kind of like what I did with my Zoom. And we have a great communication system in there. So, they give you guidance, but you also have some free reign to do that. So that really impressed me. Was early on. I even was thinking, what the heck? Why are you making such a big deal about this? I'm fine. And, I got an extra couple of days off, and, I had my own blinders on and thinking that I didn't need to deal with this, which was really fear, because I didn't want to face the unknown. That was my weakness.
We're all just human. We are all dealing with this. Even myself, I do practice, I practice yoga and breathing and stress reduction. And sometimes no matter what I do, I've still had some bad days, because we're just all human. And we have to allow ourselves to know that, okay, I'm not, I need to go to Headspace. I need to take a time out. We give our children time out. What about ourselves? So that's one of the wonderful ways is the Support the Front and the COVID well-being, there's wonderful, wonderful reminders. They have a whole list of ways to deal with stress, paying attention to your body, your feelings, which are so important, connecting with friends, all wonderful things. And then also when to ask for professional help, which is so vital.
Ladies, if you had someone come to you and say, I'm really struggling right now. I'm having a lot of anxiety with work, with family, with kids, with whatever. What are some of the top things, that you want to share with them? Because, in my mind, I know, okay, I need to work out. I need to do this. I know I need to be doing that for myself. But Bridget, I'll start with you. Like, if I came to you and said that, what are some of the things that you would, say?
Well, I would first say, would you consider taking a deep breath with me right now? No, really, seriously, You cannot imagine the power that comes from more than one person breathing together in synchrony. And if you take 2 minutes, and sometimes I say to my friend, do you have 2 minutes? Can I have 2 minutes of your time? Let's take 10 deep breaths together, and maybe I count, or I ring a bell or something like that. So that's the one thing I do. Sleeplessness, a family member recently was having trouble with this. And I said, this is something I learned. I can't remember where I learned this, but in the middle of the night, if I wake up and I can't go to sleep, I go through the alphabet of a gratitude list, and that will put you to sleep. And,
I love that, Bridget.
It does it. Gratitude is a big part of my life, no matter what. I even sometimes write COVID on my gratitude list, because you know what? It has put my priorities in order. And so everybody's like, oh, it's the worst year ever. You know what? I don't say that. I say, COVID's got you down. Good. You got a spiritual bottom. Good. Let's work on that. Let's get stronger and be more resilient. And gratitude is the number one way. Taking a deep breath, taking 10 deep breaths, and I write a gratitude list every day.
Wow.
I love that, Bridget. I think that's fabulous. And I love too, as educated healthcare professionals, and we all know there's science behind the breath. There's books written on the breath. So it really does activate that parasympathetic nervous system. It's so huge. There's even a little app called the breathing app. So if you can't meditate, you can just get the breathing app for free, and it just helps you to breathe in and breathe out. And that is so huge. I've done it myself. I've left the operating room for a couple of minutes break. And I've just gone to breathe, because I'm a yoga teacher, but I have trouble with meditation.
Yeah.
So
I can't meditate.
Yeah,
I struggle.
and I hate when people say, "Oh, I can't do yoga because I can't stretch," or I feel guilty that I didn't exercise. And so exercise can be like walking with a friend. That's such a great way. You're out in nature. If they feel stressed, it gets you away from all the technology.
Yes.
So when someone tells me when they're anxious, so if you can't find a friend, just get out in nature. Just take a couple of steps. Maybe it's a half a mile. So that's I think just walking in nature and connecting with whoever, your daughter, your friend, your dog, which connections can help. I know at work I've been stressed. I've had a break. I've just walked around outside.
Yes.
And
I do that too.
And just to get real quick with sleeping, sleep. One of my favorite books is a book about why we sleep. It's from Berkeley, a scientist from Berkeley, California. I forget his exact name. Yeah. But that is the best thing we could do for our body to relieve stress and anxiety. And unfortunately, that's what we're with when we get stressed. That's what we have problems doing. I have found to try to go to bed at the same time at night and wake up at the same time. And again, get rid of all the technology.
Yes.
Step away from Facebook.
Maybe do a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku or your favorite novel or something to clear your mind, or journaling at night just to get it out of the mind so you can rest. The
breathing technique, I've started doing that with my patients. Some that have severe anxiety, and I take a couple big deep breaths with them, and it's amazing to see. I mean, it's purely anecdotal, but it's amazing to see. I mean, I've seen heart rates come down, and my heart rate comes down, and, and the whole room just kind of, everybody comes down. That's helped me a lot, actually, in my own personal practice. One point before we wrap up here, ladies, is that, Bridget, you alluded to this earlier. In our profession, we do struggle, and we've talked about this on Top Med Talk before. We struggle with substance abuse, and I think anesthesia providers have some of the highest rates of substance abuse in the healthcare profession. And so a lot of people, I've talked to more people, say they've had more wine and booze during the not holidays, but since COVID started. I mean, that's been a real kind of thing that people are using to cope. So talk to me about, some of that. Like, what do we need to do to make sure we're keeping all of that in check? And if we do think we have a problem?
That's a great thing to talk about, because I do hear that alcohol sales went up, and I don't know, and food, people are gaining weight, and it pains me that we turn inside and we stuff our feelings with alcohol and food. Sometimes it's hard for us to tell on ourselves or get help for ourselves. And so what the AANA is really good at is saying, well, okay, let's take care of our colleagues. Let's look for the warning signs. And the AANA has a great resource on their website. And most importantly, the 1-800 number that's 24/7. It's manned or womaned with a live person. And that is something that's happened in the past couple of years. And we've had Peer Assistance since, 1983 or something, but now it's a 24/7 helpline, and it's confidential. And a CRNA, a family member, a member of the AANA, a non-member of the AANA, a worker, anybody can call that number and say, hey, I'm kind of concerned. I noticed, an extra wine bottle, and they're slurring their speech. They're drinking in the morning before they go to work, and whatever it might be. So that's the way to do it.
Huge. Yeah. So if you know somebody that's struggling out there, or even you feel yourself struggling, it's just so vital to ask for help. And one of the best things I think that being involved, volunteering at the is the satisfaction that I've gotten just from somebody that said they've changed. Just thank you so much. You gave me that number. I helped to turn my life around. I'm such a happier person, and I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. And it's just heartbreaking. And people turn their lives around. We have a friend, Rico, who he has a treatment center now, a very, very successful treatment center in Parkdale.
For all providers, not just CRNAs.
Yeah, for all providers. We all need help. We're all vulnerable. We're all human beings.
Yeah. Bridget and Jessica, I just want to thank you so much for everything that you both are doing for your fellow CRNAs. And like I said before, even strangers, people you don't even know.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Desiree. You do a lot of work too to get the message out there. We couldn't, just think about the ripple effect of what you're doing is just very heartwarming to me. And I didn't mention because I forgot that this is all audio. So I just want to mention the 1-800 phone number.
Please, I was going to ask you for that.
Good. It's 1-800-654-5167, 24/7 live confidential help, 1-800-654-5167 for you or somebody that you love or don't love, or somebody that you work with, or whatever it might be. It's free.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jessica, the websites that people can connect, and we'll put all this information in our show notes too. So if you've missed it here, please be sure to check in your show notes. But just real quickly, those sites.
Well, AANA.com/COVID wellness. So that's a wonderful one. And just COVID, it'll take you to COVID-19 and your well-being, and then support the front. That's wonderful. So I would start with AANA.com COVID wellness. And from there, you'll be able to find out all our different information that we put out. So I'm so glad that we connected. Desiree, thank you so much for all you do to helping us get the word out, and for all your other wonderful Top Med talks.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. We're all in it together, like I said before. So, okay, lastly, Bridget, if we wanted to hear more about your guided meditations, I would love to put something on Top Med Talk if you wanted to do one for us. You had mentioned Headspace. Are there any other really great resources that you like?
I also have Insight Timer on my phone. That's the one. It's got beautiful bells, and I really like the bells in that Insight Timer. And also Refuge Recovery is a website. It's Buddhism and recovery related kind of meshed together. And there's guided meditation there. And I really like those.
Cool. All right. That's awesome. And Jessica, any good yoga for us? Are you doing any yoga online or teaching?
I'm teaching. I just started Zoom online. So just started actually yesterday with my first class. I was doing it at Hopkins before COVID for free in the morning, and we couldn't do it. But there's great free yoga online. So please look online. I think YouTube has some free yoga, meditation, the breathing app, which I said. They're wonderful resources. And please reach out and please take care of yourself.
Thank you again, both, so much for your contribution today and every day. We also want to thank the AANA for their generous support of our podcast today. It's been a wonderful partnership, and we've had amazing conversations with CRNA providers all over the country. So thanks again for all the support. Good luck out there during this holiday season. And I hope we can all get to January.
We will.
Just to this part. And we want to thank you so much for listening to Top Med Talk on behalf of Monty Mythen, who is our editor-in-chief. And unfortunately, I know he would have loved to listen to this conversation and contribute and give his perspective from the UK. I'm sure he's going to hate that he missed it. Monty, we miss you. But behalf of Monty, myself, and the whole Top Med Talk, we want to thank all of our frontline providers for the incredible work that you're doing right now and everything that you've been doing this entire year. We know that there's a lot of stress and anxiety happening out there because of all of it. We're here with you, and we want to say thank you. And also to your families, because we know that this is a joint effort. It's not just you. Everyone's having to chip in right now, spouses, parents, and children. And thanks again for listening. You can always find us on your favorite social media platform. And if you like this conversation, please be sure to share with your healthcare colleagues and friends. Remember, Top Med Talk is a free global medical education podcast. So happy holidays. Be safe out there. And for you, Jessica, namaste.
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 Thank you.
All right. Cheers, ladies. Thank you.
Top Med Talk. Thanks for downloading Top Med Talk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, Top Med Talk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out ebpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out ebpom.org now.